This is Unit 3, Lesson 3, Section 2.6, page 152. And here we're talking about division. Of decimals. And we're changing put two I's in there. Changing fractions to decimals. Okay? So to start with, we want to divide. And here we have 4.56 divided by 0.3. And the thing that you have to remember about with decimals is that normally when you're dividing, your quotient gets smaller. But when you're dividing with decimals, especially with decimals that are between 0 and 1, your answer is actually going to be larger than what you started with. Okay, so with decimal, when you're working with two numbers like this, with decimals especially, I like to go ahead and write it in rational form or fraction form, because it becomes clearer to you which one's the divisor, which is the denominator, and which one's the dividend, which is the numerator. Now, so step one, write problem in rational form. The next step, you have to move that decimal point for your dividend to where it's behind the units place. So in this case, we're moving that decimal point one place. But when we do that, we move that decimal point one place for your numerator as well. And technically what you're doing here is you're multiplying the numerator and denominator times 10, right? But we can't just multiply the denominator times 10, we have to multiply the numerator and denominator. So that's why we have, when we move the denominator one decimal point, we have to move that numerator one decimal point as well. So that becomes 3 and then divided by 45.6. Okay? So, step 2, place numbers in long division form. And this is one of the most critical parts, is placing the decimal point for your quotient, or what's above that divisions line, placing decimal. For our quotient above the decimal point for our dividend. Okay, so, and with division of decimal points, that's usually where students run into problems, right here. Okay, so now step 4, we can go ahead and divide like we normally do with numbers without a decimal point. So we start with 3 can go into 4, right? And that would be 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3, right? And so we bring down the 1, bring down the 5. 3 times 3 goes into 15 5 times, right? 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, and that goes to 0, so we have to bring the 6 down, right? And so now 3 goes into 6 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. And so we have 0 remainder. So our answer here is 15.2. Well, if you're not careful, you could easily, just as easily put 1.52. You know, of course that would be incorrect. So, just to show you how critical that is, on a number line, here's 0, here's 1, here's 15. Okay, this is 1.52. This point here, this is 15.2. See how different those numbers are? It looks like, well, it's just one little decimal point. No, those are 2 totally different numbers. So you have to be absolutely careful where that decimal point goes. You have to be careful that the numbers line up and where that decimal point goes. All right? Any questions?